Hello and welcome to Under the Blanket Book Reviews, the coziest book review show on the internet. I'm your host, Josh. And if you've been watching all my other videos, welcome back to another video. This is a series I've been meaning to start for a while. As you can see, I'm nice and cozy in bed under my blanket, and we are going to be reviewing a book. And today's book is a book I read in one day. It's a pretty short read. This is Teen Titans Raven, written by Kami Garcia and illustrated by Gabriel Piccolo. His graphic novel. Actually met Gabriel Piccolo at, was it New York Comic Con one year, or was it Anime NYC? One of those two, one of the Javits Center conventions, and he was nice as can be. I got a very, you can probably see it over there, I got a very nice print of him, Raven of Beast Boy. So I have been a fan of Gabriel Piccolo's Teen Titans art for quite a while. He does, in my opinion, the best Teen Titans art that there is. So I was very excited when all these line of Gabriel Piccolo illustrated Teen Titans graphic novels were coming out. But for some reason I just never got around to picking them up and reading them. But this is the first one, and I finally read it, borrowed it. Shouts out to my friend Jordy if you're watching this, borrowed it from you. Yeah, and my first impressions were, it was okay. The art was absolutely gorgeous, stunning. Honestly, Gabriel Piccolo is one of my favorite artists. Let me just try to find like a good page here. This is just a totally random example. I'm just like flipping through, but like the art is, oh, like here we go. Like the art is just wonderful, and I really like this like black and white style with like fades of purples in. It's just a really cool style. Anyway, art gets all my praise. Where the issues come in, I would say, is the writing. The characters are pretty weak, pretty one note. The only character that has a lot of depth is Raven, but this isn't like really, you don't get really original vibes from her. Like there's this amnesia thread that goes on throughout, but if you are a fan of Teen Titans in any way, you already know what the mysteries are that she's seemingly forgetting. There is an interesting twist into her lore that is really clever, that I really do admire, that kind of changes it, and it's a cultural twist and adds in another, I don't want to spoil it, but it adds in another cultural context to Raven's lore that I think is really interesting and unique, and I'm interested to see where it goes in future novels in the series, because I think I will continue reading the series, even though this was a little weak and lackluster. But yeah, I would say that what I didn't like about this is that a lot of the characters felt very one note. Raven didn't really feel like an original take. It just felt like, you know, her standard run-of-the-mill story. It was set in high school, and, you know, there's nothing wrong with a story inherently being set in high school. I just finished Persona 5, which is one of my new favorite stories, and that game was set in high school. I'm just a little sick of stories being set in high school. The older I get, the less and less I want my story to be set in high school, you know? When you're younger and you're reading up, it's like, oh my god, high school, whoa. Now it's just like, I'm just like, oh my god, just at least set it in college or something. I'm just kind of sick of it. Like, you know, I can't really connect with stories anymore that are set in high school. It's very hard for me to do so. So that's not inherently a problem with this book. I think it's more of a problem with the reader, which is me. Yeah, but... lost my train of thought here. Yeah, so I'm just inherently sick of that setting, and it's drenched in, like, edgy high schooler dialogue, if that makes sense. And it's just kind of frustrating to read that dialogue. You're just like, oh man, God, get a move on it, God. You know, there's a lot of edgy high schooler issues that are thrown in there, and it just felt really weird and forced. It's that this girl that's going through all this trouble, this amnesia, and dealing with these mystical forces beyond her comprehension is like also simultaneously preoccupied with like high school junk. And, you know, maybe because I'm many years removed from high school, I feel like something that severe would remove me from that drama enough for me to focus on it. I don't know. Maybe nothing I'm saying makes sense. Maybe I sound like a crotchety old person talking about this, you know? Like, maybe this is just a sign of my age. Maybe if I read this back in high school, I would have adored this. But right now, it's just okay. Something I really liked that they do is that they do representation and the ability for readers to see themselves in this story. They do it very well in the sense that it's not forced at all. There's just little hints, and you might know what I mean if you've read it, but there's just little hints, like, for example, Raven, it's more tied to her powers, but she gets sensory overload very easily, and they do a lot of, like, really good I know people with sensory overload, and they do a lot of really good representation of that in the story. And there's other modes of representation as well, different minorities and different levels of ability, and it's really cool how they do handle that. So that's a plus to this. But overall, I'd say in terms of, I'm going to borrow my rating system from my old series, the Rapid Reviews, which I'm not bringing back. Now all my movie reviews can be found on Letterboxd, but my 3 ratings are going to be skip, worth reading, and must read. And I would say this is a worth reading. I would say, like, you know, it's a short, brisk read. I had a good time with it. Beautiful, beautiful art that probably carries most of my recommendation. If this was bad art, I wouldn't have been able to finish this probably. But yeah, so Teen Titans Raven gets a worth reading, and that's it for this first Under the Blanket book review.